All right, my friends, just some random thoughts here. Enjoying a good brisk walk on a nice fall day here in North Fulton County. So I'm listening to my man Mark Thornton talk about the skyscraper curse and the ABCT, which is Austrian business cycle theory. I tell you, man, it's this stuff is incredibly interesting. I keep saying that. That's my catchphrase. It's incredibly interesting. He uses the example, which is fascinating, that the Fed wants to do an experiment. All right, it's going to experiment. It's going to get a list of all people who have season tickets to the Daytona 500 and are NASCAR fans. That magically is going to print out of the air just a bunch of money, and they're going to give each NASCAR fan $1 million. All right, just magically. So what does that do? Well, what inherently is going to make the prices of attending the Daytona 500 go up, because you have more demand for the tickets to go to the Daytona 500, because not all NASCAR fans go to the Daytona 500. Now, I don't know anything about NASCAR. It bores me to death, but just this is the example he's using. Now, also, what does it do? It makes other things that NASCAR fans, they might be inclined to buy sports cars. Maybe they're inclined to buy Ford F-150s. I don't know. But whatever the residual is that NASCAR fans like, all that stuff will go up in price because they all have extra dollars in which to spend. All right, so that makes sense. So now in fact, he even says maybe they'll even invent a Daytona 1000 race or something like that to appeal to excess demand. But the interesting thing is that money will be spent. And what happens when the money's spent? What happens to the excess demand for the Daytona 500 and then the Daytona 1000? What happens to the excess demand for the, the new Dodge Chargers that they use to appeal to NASCAR fans? Because other people aren't interested in NASCAR. And so the only people who would drive up the prices of these with increased demand, inflation, would be the people who are interested in it. And then when they have no more money to spend, all these production facilities, all the prices that were driven up by increased demand, what happens? They can't keep those prices that high because there's no more demand for it, because the money has been burnt up. On top of that, not only can they keep those prices that high, when they're ramping up production for Dodge Charger or the was the Chevy, I forgot what it's called. I forget what the other one was, 800 horsepower, which looks pretty cool. I forgot what it was. But anyway, they ramped up the production for that because these NASCAR fans have money in which to buy stuff. Well, now they bought them all. They have no money left, and the production facility's sitting there empty. They have no orders to fill. So they had to hire all these people. Now they got to lay them off because they have no orders, because all that money has been burned through, because it's not real money. It's fake. And that's the business cycle right there. ABCT, Austrian business cycle theory. It says this is what happens when you have fake money. You create distortions in the economy. You're basically favoriting one group of people over the other. So what happens now is this group of people, the NASCAR fans, got the benefit of having inflated money, fake money, but no one else did. Everyone else is still sitting there, man, those guys make out like bandits. So a lot of those people then say, I better be going the NASCAR business because that's where the money is, but the money's fake. And he uses the example of zero interest rate policy, which I find interesting too, how that benefits the bankers, the hedge fund managers, the investment managers, and whatnot. And what that does is raise the prices of real estate in New York City, San Francisco, where all the financial districts are, Boston. And these rich guys now, they take that money, because the Fed has essentially made them a favored nation, essentially, and they use that to buy accessory products, high-end art, for instance. So they're buying all this high-end stuff. They're buying this real estate, high-end, driving the price up because they got all this money because the Fed has favored them with their low interest to zero interest rates policies. And that's good, but at some point, those days got to come to an end or the money's going to stop. When inflation kicks in. And when inflation kicks in, because the prices go too high, the Fed comes in and they shuts the spigot off. They turn the valve to the left, and guess what? All these people who are buying this high-end real estate are sitting there like they have no one else to sell to. Again, the greater fool theory. All those contemporary artists, I don't know, he's mentioned all these names that you might know if you're sophisticated, I don't. But all these contemporary artists who are living large thinking, hey, people are paying $100 million for my piece of crappy art. I could keep doing this and get rich, man, rich. Well, then the party stops. And now all of a sudden, what seemed like that you needed to buy looks like a stupid purchase because there's no more money left to buy that from you. And you're sitting there saying, I bought this piece of contemporary art for $100 million. I'm just throwing that out there. But now I want to sell it because I got no more money, because the interest rate cycle, the inflationary, the picking of one group of people over the other has stopped. And people are like, dude, why the hell did you pay for that crappy piece of art? Ooh. Yeah. And then they're going to look at, I don't know, who's the guy with the girl with a pearl earring, whatever her name was, which I like. It's pretty cool. But all of a sudden that looks like, yeah, that actually has staying power through all economies. But you could have bought that, but you didn't. You bought this crappy piece of contemporary art to show that you're a cool kid. But now that money stops, what happens next? Anyway, that's the interesting thing about inflation. It favors some over the other. But at some point, it always stops. The party has to stop. And then the real estate in New York, the upper end real estate is going to fall. It seems like it's doing that right now a little bit. And when it happens, then you got to sit back and laugh at the fools who, sold their soul for rock and roll to buy those real estates because they want to be the cool kids. And I'm not saying you laugh at their dismay, but I am just kind of chuckling at the end of the day. Remember, they said, oh, look at me. And yet, there's going to come a time where it all comes back to, everything reverts to the mean. Always, and that will too. And that's the thing about Austrian business school theory, business cycle theory. The Fed inflates with low interest rates, simple money. Somebody benefits, but those benefits will be zanked or zoinked or taken away at some point. So just stay the course. It's a lesson to be learned here. Stay the course. All right, we'll see you.